Hi, this is Kevin Thomas, and welcome back to the At Home Film Festival. It is October, so I am going to look at some Halloween movies. Back here, we're looking at some classics, and there are so many of them. I was inspired to do this show this week because Halloween Ends just came out, and that is ending a franchise, well, we think. But there are so many great classic movies that have had many great sequels and remakes and prequels. This episode does not focus on those. No, I am going to look at bad remakes, bad prequels, bad sequels from these great Halloween classics that we see here. How could you ruin something great? Don't go back and try, but let's take a look at the 7 worst movies that I found for this list, okay? Coming in at number 7 on our bad remake sequel list is Halloween 2018. Yes, I know it made a lot of money and it brought back Jamie Lee Curtis to the helm of being the great scream queen that she is. The trouble is, although there have been dozens of Halloween movies and Jamie Lee Curtis was in most of them except for the remakes by Rob Zombie, they decided to cancel the history between the first movie and this one. So anything that happened between those two movies, the years and years apart, forget about it, they're telling us to do. So forget that Jamie Lee was Michael Myers' sister. Forget that Jamie Lee had a son played by Josh Hartnett. Forget that she became a dean. What they want you now is just to go back to the 1978 movie and act like this is a sequel to that. I don't like forgetting all those things that happened in between. I have been bothered by this ever since. You can ask a lot of my friends. Every time this Halloween comes on TV or its sequel, I'm so bothered. Like, why did we have to get rid of all that history? Sure, they brought back some of the original actors from the first one for this. It wasn't enough. I don't like all the canceling they did to make us forget about all the great Halloween movies in between, like Halloween H2O. They want you to skip that. So, because of that, this is number 7 on my bad remake, sequel, prequel list. Okay? Number 6 on our list is the remake of Psycho, which you could find on Peacock. It's not really a bad movie per se. In fact, I watched a lot of movies to prepare for this, and there were a lot of sequels that weren't bad, they just weren't good. And although director Gus Van Sant is acclaimed on his own right, he's not Alfred Hitchcock. And he used the exact same screenplay and he kept in any mistakes the first film made. It just pales in comparison. It was unnecessary. Why did we remake Psycho? Yes, it has the same story and the actors are good, I'll admit that. But it was pointless to remake Psycho. I don't care. The shower scene does not belong to her. It is Janet Leigh's shower scene. And because of that, and for other remakes that did not need to be made, I am putting Psycho, the remake, as number 6 on this list. Okay, now we have number 5, Jaws, the Revenge. For the Jaws franchise, we should have ended at number 1. That was a masterpiece and great. Number 2 wasn't so bad. Then 3 got to 3D. Then we got to Jaws, the Revenge. Now, the way the story seems to go is the shark, Bruce, who he's named, kind of follows Lorraine Gary, who was the widow of Roy Scheider, to like the Bahamas. He's like really mad. Maybe she just thinks that. All I know is Michael Caine, 2-time Oscar winners in this film, and he has said he only made this movie because he wanted a free trip to the Bahamas. I'm not positive it's the Bahamas. I just know it's some exotic, sexy place that people would like to go on vacation and have somebody else pay for them. But anyway, I tried so hard to make it through every minute of this movie, and I think I did. It's so sad because it's just not good, and it kind of tarnishes the original Jaws. I mean, that's a masterpiece. This is not. I promise you that. Number 4 on our list is Poltergeist III, available on Tubi. So the original stars, except for the little girl, Heather O'Rourke, wanted nothing to do with this movie. And sadly, some of them died. Apparently, there's a poltergeist curse. Even Heather O'Rourke, the little girl, she died at age 12. She hadn't even finished this film. And oh, that poor little girl. But anyway, this movie takes place now in Chicago. So she's staying with her aunt and uncle instead of her parents because they don't want to be in the movie. And it's just really kind of boring. I think they ran out of budget, I read somewhere, so they had to kind of edit it and cut out some scenes so it made it more incoherent than normally. But it does have a funny thing. The funny thing is, the little girl's name is Carol Ann, and I remember Roger Ebert, the critic, saying this when he reviewed this back in the day, that they say that name so many times, and why? Why? In fact, if you look this up on IMDb, someone actually spent the time to count how many times he said her name, Carol Ann. And even worse than that, what we're watching here is someone made a compilation of over 3 minutes of just the name Carol Ann. Let's take a listen. I won't make you do all 3 minutes, but let's just take a moment, okay?
Carol Ann.
Carol Ann.
Carol Ann.
If you want to watch all 3 minutes, please search for it on YouTube. It's very funny. Next on our list is quite a disappointment. It's The Munsters, which is current and new, and it's on Netflix. Oh, Rob Zombie, who did this, did the great remake of Halloween. He did other great things like The Devil's Rejects, but then he did The Munsters this year. I will say one great thing about The Munsters. It's vibrant in color and has great sets, but the acting and the story and the humor are so flat. There's nothing exciting about this. It drags on forever, and I think it's 90 minutes. I had to pause 2 or 3 times just to see how many more minutes I have left. It was so excruciatingly long for a short movie. It's not quite funny. It's just drab. And it's like bad college actors trying to put on a Hamilton. They fail. And this is a prequel to the Munsters TV series, which also became a movie. So we don't even have Eddie and Marilyn in it. It's kind of when Herman met Lily. It's so unfunny. Unfunny. That's why it ranks number 3 on this list. Sorry, the Munsters. Our next movie is a few dollars to rent, or if you have Spectrum, the streaming service, you could watch it there for free. And this is one of the biggest disappointments of my life in movie world, which is why it's number 2. It's Bram Stoker's Dracula, starring Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins and Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves, and directed by Francis Ford Coppola. A lot of critics liked it. It won 3 Oscars and made a lot of money. But we were so excited to see this in the theater. And my friend Lisa turned to me shortly into the movie and said, "This sucks." And she says, and I don't mean literally. Oh my God. It's so over the top. Yes, the Oscar elements like sound and visual effects and costumes are great. But it's just a choppy story, and it doesn't help. Although I love Keanu Reeves, he kind of is a sore thumb in this because his accent is atrocious. That too you could find on YouTube. So that anytime the movie has any emotions, he ends up speaking, and then you're reminded how bad this film is. In fact, if you don't believe me, let's take a little listen to Keanu Reeves, shall we? Sorry, Keanu, I really do like you.
I've seen many strange things already. Bloody wolves chasing me through some blue inferno.
Our final movie, the worst movie, sequel, remake, or prequel ever, is The Exorcist II, The Heretic. I talked about it before on the show, but it wasn't easily available to watch. Now you can watch it on HBO. This movie, first of all, Ellen Burstyn refused to be in that, so good for her, even though they're working another Exorcist that she's going to be in it, so that one must have a good script. This does star Linda Blair again as the young possessed girl. She gets repossessed. She's like, maybe she never stopped. And we add Oscar winner Louise Fletcher and multiple nominations for Richard Burton, but not for this. And all we have is a disjarring, disjointed, dissatisfying, is that a word? Unsatisfying, stupid movie. If you don't believe me, go to HBO and watch this. But believe me, it's bad. And Ellen Burstyn would know. Well, that's our show of the week. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry to focus on bad movies. We will continue to look at good horror movies that are showing back here. And if you have some favorite or some you hate, let me know in the comments below. I always love to hear your opinion. I hope to see you next week. Until then, I hope that you share and subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe and share. And I will see you again and can't wait for it. I promise they won't be bad movies next week. I really do promise. But try to warn you. Thanks. Oh.